I will call the Public Works Committee of the Council to order. You all have in front of you a paper agenda. Do not intend to do this again, but staff was kind to print one out for you because this is sort of late breaking as to its organization. Not every single meeting is well suited to having a consent agenda, but sometimes it is, like when we have a number of aerial encroachments or a number of easement abandonments that can kind of be grouped together. Today is one of those days, and so I wanted to ask you all kind of what is most helpful to you from an agenda perspective. Ms. Cal in our office had been sending y'all the agendas kind of with a, hey, see you this afternoon at 4:30 and the agenda attached. I know our colleague, Mr. Rosenberg, has another kind of resource, the agendas. Again, this was late breaking as to organizing it in a consent format. So is it day before good for you all to get? Day of as a reminder? What works best for y'all so that we won't?
Day before works good for me.
Day before?
Yeah.
So
day
Monday?
Before would be great. Day of is okay too.
Okay. All righty. So
not 3 o'clock day of.
Right. Not ideal. Welcome, Council Lady Hurt. Okay. So, all right. Well,
maybe could I say actually, Chair, sorry, day before or morning of would be probably clarifying.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think let's just go right into staff report. I see Ms. Stone here and Ms. Wallstrom, Mr. Hammond from Public Works. And if you would, I was going back to watch a Public Works Committee meeting to remind myself of a few questions that have been posed. If staff will please, you are not visible on camera, so if you will please state your name and your position or the office that you represent, your title, so forth, for the community's benefit.
Are you sure you don't want us to stand up and?
You do not have to. You can remain comfortable. Just state who you are, please.
All right. I'm Courtney Stone with Public Works, and I really just have one thing I want to mention today, especially for the new folks. It is pothole season. We are in the throes of it. You are going to hear a million complaints from your constituents about potholes, and we are happy to receive them at Public Works. We kind of need you all to encourage people to report the location. Of course, not when they're driving, but to use the Hub Nashville app or call Hub Nashville, report the location, and we try to get a crew out there and get it filled within 24 hours, as long as our capacity allows that. But we know they're a pain in the butt for people. We want to get them fixed as quickly as possible, but kind of crowdsourcing their locations is the best and most efficient way for us to get out there quickly. So Hub Nashville app, call Hub Nashville, call 311, and get them reported that way.
Great. And then so for folks, either a nearby address or cross streets, yeah, that kind of thing. Okay.
Courtney, as it's also tree planting season, are we to understand that potholes grow on trees?
I can't speak to that.
Okay.
Will you come with
Last meeting, I mentioned our recycling and solid waste subcommittee to be chaired by Council Lady Allen, Councilman Bradford, Councilman Young, I believe Councilman Hall. You've expressed an interest in the recycling and waste subcommittee. Can you confirm your interest in that committee?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So then we are then set as to our 5 members on that committee. But I know there are many of us on the larger committee who have an interest in that area. So, please don't think that your voice is not included. But if there are any issues from a policy or educational standpoint that you want Council Lady Allen to be sure to address, we will try, I think, over the next 2 weeks to kind of come up with the charge of that committee so that we're kind of accountable on what we're working on, but also maintain some flexibility kind of to respond to concerns of the moment. So with that, we will just head straight into our agenda. Okay. resolution, so first off, resolutions on consent, colleagues, okay? So resolution, but I still have to read them for the record. 2020-204, Evans, Mendez, and others approves an intergovernmental agreement between TDOT and Metro Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements at Andrew Jackson Parkway. Resolution 2020-205, O'Connell, Murphy, and Henderson authorizes 300 Broadway LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 300 Broadway. Resolution 2020-206 authorizes Parker Restaurant Group LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 201 First Avenue South. Do I have a motion for the consent resolutions? A second, okay. And then, colleagues, just so you see, for kind of going forward, 2 aerial encroachments. Ms. Zeitlin has sent us kind of a primer on what happens with aerial encroachments. The railroad crossing safety thing, Mr. Hammond shared with us last time. We've been seeing a fair number of those come through. Those are a federal grant administered by TDOT, and so we'll continue to see some of those over time. Okay, any other questions, concerns related to those 3 items? Nope. All in favor? Aye. Any against? All right, moving on to resolutions for discussion. Resolution RS 2020-202, Mendez, Murphy, and others approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for signal maintenance from I-440 traffic operational deployment of Bluetooth Spectra power over Ethernet PoE data collection devices. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, I think on this one, we considered a similar resolution last year, and I want to understand if there has been any change in what we would expect to collect from a personally identifiable information standpoint.
There have been some changes. In fact, this is the
Mr.
same.
Hammond, would you identify yourself?
Jeff Hammond, Assistant Director of Metro Public Works. This is the same ordinance, the resolution that came before you at that time. You were asked to go back and revise that and make some consideration of making sure that data is and remains anonymous, which we did, and working with TDOT. We added a clause in the agreement that says if at such time this company that holds this data ever changes their privacy policy, we have the ability to go back and the agreement becomes null at that point. So that's how we dealt with that issue.
I guess in light of that, one, would we be notified of such a thing? 2, do we reserve the right to request either destruction of or holding of that data if that were to happen? I think part of when we arranged the call last term with the vendor, the concern was that third parties having access to that data could individually identify people, and presumably Metro could individually identify people. And I think this is a discussion we've been having as the RFP process for scooters is unfolding, is that I think there is a general interest in protecting against people taking specific trips and being able to identify them as they do so. So it's still hard for me to tell on what you just described if we would reserve that right.
Well, having to do with log information that's stored, because they do hold this information. We do know that. That's one of the values of having it, is because we can go back historically and say what were traffic patterns today compared to the same date 5 years ago, potentially. Right. So they do have that data. As I understand it, though, the way they keep it anonymous is they collect 6 digits of a 12-digit MAC address number. And so can you actually ever go back and pinpoint that? I know we went through that, some of that discussion with the vendor back then. And I believe the situation remains that you cannot pinpoint it back to an individual.
What I understood from the call, in fact, was that you basically could take that, match it up again. I mean, it's not that you could do it immediately, but that if you had, for instance, access to a pile of VIN data, you could then take those 2 data sets and do so. I guess I would ask Mr. Cooper maybe if there is if we were to make a request of the council office to examine this for opportunities to strengthen the privacy protections, is your sense that we could do so under an agreement like this?
I think if the state agreed to make further modifications, I mean, there are probably some additional things, but it would be up to the state as to whether they wanted to go that far or whether it just wasn't feasible.
I mean, I guess I come back to, my point is that we could still do a tremendous amount of traffic analysis even without the capture of those 6 digits and using Bluetooth to identify individual vehicles traveling repeatedly. I mean, I think the aggregate statistics still give us a lot of power. I will go ahead and say I can't vote for this today without further evolution of the privacy implications. So I'd be happy to defer and see if we can work something out, or, if others on the committee don't share my discomfort, then.
Mr. Hammond, can I ask, so when this was before us last term, I know Councilman O'Connell and then Councilman Bedney expressed some concerns about it. So I understand that you all had a meeting or a call or something with the vendor. So are you surprised to see this back on our agenda? Did you not receive the?
I saw it on the agenda.
Right.
And was a little bit surprised that, because last term it basically went away, and I wondered if that meant it was going to return. So I am a little surprised to see it back without any of those actual concerns being addressed, other than that if a privacy policy were to change. But the privacy policy doesn't address the fact that we are collecting sufficient data under this that you could actually identify who was traveling where and when.
And can I ask, just for context and to facilitate bringing this to a close from a questioning standpoint, just so we understand kind of the context of this, what is driving this? Why does TDOT want this at this location? What is the purpose of this system from their perspective?
So what it's actually doing is, as drivers, pedestrians, whoever fall within the range, these are installed at our signal cabinets. They're installed at 21 of them. They were done as part of the I-440 project. We thought at the time there may be some mitigations needed, so we're tracking travel time data.
So these are adjacent metro intersections adjacent to 440.
Roughly, yes. They're on corridors like Woodmont or like Wedgwood that roughly parallel 440. We thought the impacts may drive traffic from 440 onto some of these roads, and we wanted to track those impacts. But this is the first of what we hope will be more applications of this, because this is technology that has come available relatively recently that allows us for the first time to be able to monitor these without using staff resources, consultant resources, or anybody. This is low-cost equipment that is sitting there collecting data all the time that will be helpful for us as we monitor traffic situations in the future. Not only relative to a project like this, but just ongoing traffic information. It does that by gathering the number from a cell phone, but not only cell phone, tire pressure monitors, Fitbits, anything that's putting out this MAC address that's on Bluetooth, it can pick these, and it's matching up the 6 digits of that unique number. So we have a pretty good idea for, if I went through this intersection, and a few minutes later I went through this next intersection, I can now calculate travel time in between them. That's all we see. We see no information about any of those MAC addresses or anything. The company does, and so where we left the conversation last time, we thought, was that everyone had gotten comfortable with the company's privacy policy, but the sentiment was, if that changes, then what? If they decide to sell, or if they do this or that. And that was the point we added that language back into our agreement with TDOT that says, if anything changes, we reserve the right then to remove that. The question about, storage of the information or can they destroy that and all, we would have to ask further about.
Okay. So I guess it looks like we're going to have 3 questions here, but I will just...
Mine was answered.
It was, okay. Okay. If I may, just before your question. So, it is perplexing to me somewhat that, TDOT, our state legislature, will completely flip its lid, right, and burn traffic tickets, around cameras, to make sure people aren't going 95 miles an hour on the interstate or our roads. But now somehow it's okay to use people's, data off of various devices for, I mean, it just seems that there's somewhat of a disconnect, because I think there is potential in this space for community safety, right? But, so I guess just, again, what is driving this? Like, did somebody at TDOT or does Blue Toad, whatever, come to our city and say, hey, this would be a great thing for you to have? Like,
Yeah,
or is this something Public Works said, we really need and want this?
We
Just
asked
help me
for
out.
it. We asked for it
Okay.
as part of the 440 project.
Okay.
It's a little bit of an opportunistic thing, because we think, I would love to have one of these at every intersection in Nashville, because then we could tell you explicitly how's traffic performing, what can we change, how can we change timings to make this more effective. And it's some of the things that we're working on, with some of this new signal capabilities. It's just the state of the practice.
Okay.
It's this type of information. Otherwise, we have no idea how traffic is moving. We can have the smartest detection out there, but nothing substitutes something in vehicle that is able to do that.
I appreciate that. Council Lady Evans, last question, then we'll entertain
I
a
was just
motion.
going to ask it, and you might have said this, and I just don't understand. Does this company have a data breach policy if they're breached related to all this information?
We talked about their data privacy policy. I don't know that we got into contingency plans for the breach of that. What they would have, though, is a humongous list of MAC addresses through various intersections. By time of day, there's got to be billions of them, and so it would take someone overlaying that and trying to come up with some finding from all that.
Okay.
But we would have to ask if there's a breach policy.
Okay.
Councilman Collins, do you have a motion?
Well, I think we've already been through the motion in the second. I was hoping to maybe ask one more question or kind of combine a question.
Or if you want to make another motion as to deferral, I think we would.
Yeah, I think
One meeting.
I would like to amend the motion on the floor to defer for one meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
And then with discussion on that, I think, Jeff, I totally understand the point of data collection here, but I think, again, if I come back to the idea that we can kind of find a happy medium here, it's that we don't need to know, we can even know that the same vehicle has gone through an intersection in rapid succession without keeping the history of that vehicle, and we can get aggregate flows that are going to inform us. I guess working in this space, seeing data breaches all the time, understanding that those data breaches are specifically to harvest large data sets to specifically identify people individually. Especially knowing that we have requested this at a public works level, I'd love to know if Blue Toad, for instance, supports a mode of this data collection that could skip those 6 digits or, find some other mechanism to better protect the privacy of not just Nashvillians, but anybody on those roadways. A data breach happens once and you've got the entire data set, you can overlay it with anything, and I don't think this is sufficiently protective of Nashvillians' privacy.
And Madam Chair, can I just ask questions? Since we're deferring this one more meeting, is there any way we can get representatives from TDOT and Blue Toad here that we may could ask some more of these questions and get some more information directly from them?
I appreciate that. I think let's think on that just a little bit. I mean, as far as Council Lady Evans, the work that you do, I know professionally, and Councilman O'Connell, and I appreciate your questions and concerns. What do you think is going to be the most constructive thing, right? So we are time constrained here on any particular evening. Do you think perhaps if we were to have kind of a list of specific questions for you, and then if Blue Toad TDOT feels that to answer those questions, that would require their presence, or?
I think that would be helpful, and we did have them here last fall when we debated this, and I think it was in the public works, so we probably have a record of that.
Okay.
So you can review that.
I think that would be important to find, that meeting, okay?
Answer, but if there's a list of further questions beyond that, I think that would be the best way to do it.
Okay. I think maybe rather than making it part of the motion, but understanding that is potentially a desire of the committee, maybe let's look at the previous meeting, see what the questions are, and
We'll
then
find out
if we,
the date of that
do we think they need to be here? Absolutely. I think that's a fair point. Okay, so the motion, the amended motion now is to defer one meeting to answer these questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. All right, RS 2020-209, Councilman Nash requests the Davidson County delegation to the Tennessee General Assembly to support a change in state law to include stormwater utilities among the utilities covered under the Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority Act. Councilman Nash, did you have a motion?
I do,
Okay.
but I would like to make a few comments first, and because it may be one or two meetings, depending.
Okay.
Since-
So,
What I want to do is make sure that we know what this is not. This is not me trying to get out of water training. I've got all my certificates. I've done all my training. Secondly, this does not create the water authority. Certainly after our taking to the woodshed by the comptroller's office and the like, and then also kind of the history of water kind of going from crisis to crisis, I thought it was time to at least entertain the discussion of potentially creating a water authority, a board that could really give Metro Water the kind of oversight and support that a major utility deserves. Although I took all my training, to really come to you and say that I'm a real water authority person, I think is a little overstating our position here. But that said, in discussions with the mayor's office and the like, and some of the research they've done, to create a water authority at this time is not financially doable. Our cash resources are such that we need water's cash flow for us and our bonding capacity and do the tax anticipation notes. So I will not be further discussing or proposing any water authority in the near future. 2-3 years from now, Mr. Mohnpower seems to think it might be possible, but who knows what our finances are going to be then. Certainly something we'd have to discuss then. But that said, if we were going to go ahead and do a water authority, Metro Water, and I'm sure other utilities across the state are also do some stormwater because so many of the pipes are combined. Currently, the state law, which allows authorization of creating an authority, only speaks to water and wastewater. It doesn't talk to stormwater. In this legislation, we just add the stormwater and a foundation if we or any other county in our position could move forward with that. So that's all this does. We are taking out, in discussions with the mayor's office, they asked that we take out all the references to Davidson County and Metro so I will be coming back with a substitute ordinance. So I know there was some discussion of possibly deferring this 2 meetings, some discussion 1 meeting. I really don't see where it makes a lot of difference since we're not creating authority. We're just asking the city or the state to create just one additional duty for anybody that wanted to create an authority to do. But I have no issue with, for the same reason, I don't think it's important whether it's 1 or 2. I'm good. Yes.
Did we make a motion? Can we have discussion yet?
yeah, I mean, we are kind of in a weird in-between place because we have not, so I think, Councilman Nash, if you just want to make a motion as to what you think would be best, and then we'll have further discussion, and I guess we can amend that motion if people feel that it should be 1 or 2 as to the deferral.
I make the motion to defer 1 meeting, then I'll bring a substitute.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I have a question. Is there a bill that has a caption that would cover this?
Yeah, I have been in discussions with Representative Powell and Senator Dickerson. Now, Representative Powell, again, kind of at the moment, and I haven't talked with him since I've had discussions today from the mayor's office and the like on how to move forward, had suggested putting his bill on notice, and I haven't seen that bill yet, and I want to make sure that it is general and not specific to Davidson County. Was going to put it on notice, have some discussion about it, then take it back off notice. And I suggested to him that given that we're not talking about creating authority, just adding a duty for anybody who might want to create an authority, but that he might want to move forward, and I haven't had a chance to get back to him yet to flesh that one out.
So this deferral doesn't affect how that moves forward in any way?
No.
And does water staff, anyone want to speak to this at all as to your engagement or standpoint on it, whether deferring one meeting, 2 meetings, or otherwise is?
The water department would support the councilman in his deferment.
Okay. Vice Chair Young?
Regardless of deferral, I don't think that it's an issue with the state. I mean, a lot of your MS4 regulations come via the EPA. I have a hard time believing that the duties of a stormwater utility are best done by something outside of municipal government. Because when you look at the service area for Metro Water as a water and sewer provider, it is very, very different than the county line. Because you have the Bellevue area that is on Harpeth Utility. You have northern part of Davidson County that's on a combination of White House Water, Gouldsville Sewer, Madison Suburban. And so I think I have a hard time.
I don't believe the state legislation would change any of the jurisdiction of.
No, it wouldn't. But what I'm getting at is then you would have this. You would have at that point an outside authority, quasi-governmental organization that is responsible for stormwater services in areas that it's not responsible for any other services, which is true today. However, but it's done as a department, as a function of the Davidson County government. It's a difficult pill for me to swallow, and I guess what I'm saying is
the authority. That's why I started it. This is not creating an authority.
I understand that, but
then
this is in anticipation of going down that road.
What problem does
Maybe,
this?
maybe not.
I guess I'm wondering, what problem does this attempt to solve, or what problem is this addressing, to your mind?
Well,
Like, what's the point?
And of course, as you well know, you don't get anything discussed here until you throw something in the hopper.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So we threw this in the hopper. To go forward with the authority and take Metro and put it in it, they do 3 functions. They do the wastewater, stormwater, and water. The state law currently only speaks to water and wastewater. So to have this, to Metro be able to continue the services that they currently provide in an authority structure, we were going to add that duty to the state law before we created an authority. Create the foundation for it if we decided to go forward. And that's the purpose of this.
I think, if I may, my take on this, kind of having been here for 4 years, is that, incumbent upon us is to make sure that, Metro can do the best that it can do from kind of internally, right? And then if we cannot do the best for our city, for the environment, for the community, because state authority or otherwise, or state law doesn't allow it, then if we, as a, water department or stormwater division, they come to us and say, these are our problems, would you engage the state? I personally am concerned when we flip that and we engage the state and invite them to authorize or do something that affects our department. So it seems a little, respectfully, a little backwards. I'm a little concerned.
I went to the
about
water
that.
department before I started this too. I mean, I've had the discussions. It's not like I'm running this on my own. Went to the mayor's office first, and I come here. And again, we're not creating the authority. I hear all those, and those were some of the concerns that obviously needed to be discussed. This just allows us, and any other entity that has the 3 functions to move forward if they decided to do so. We may never get there. We're in a hole, these finances. During my term, we may never get to the point where we can say, we really feel comfortable now maybe doing this financially, and we think it's also for the betterment of our water services and how we provide it.
I guess the point I would make lastly on the deferral is definitely look into the EPA connection before you start spending more time and resource down that road. Because I'm not sure when you look at MS4 regulations if they would allow an authority to do that versus the municipality. And I don't know. I'm not a stormwater specialist or an attorney, but
Okay.
Okay, so
Can I just make one
Quickly,
quick
yes,
point?
yeah.
Thank you.
On the deferral.
Thank you, Chair. I'm curious to know, and so as a part of that research and coming back, I would like to know, is there anyone else in the state who does this, and if so, why? And if not, then why not? If that could be a part of what we find out as well. I'd appreciate it.
appreciate that.
Could I amend my motion to make it a two-meeting deferral?
Yes, you may. For a second for that? Okay. And so I guess, colleagues, I would say if after thinking over this, like Council Lady Benedict or Councilman Young, if you have additional questions for Councilman Nash, if you would please send those to Jon Cooper to kind of forward to Councilman Nash. And then as well, Mr. Cooper, I would be interested to know Director Potter and Mr. Palco's kind of position or take on this as head of Stormwater Division and Metro Water. So that's coming from me, committee chair, respectfully. I know that Councilman Nash has engaged the department, and I respect and appreciate that, but I would be interested to know if, and again, I recognize the resolution doesn't create it, but I think it kind of sets us on a path and sort of sets a tone vis-a-vis the state and how we consider it. So if you would please ask them to respond to it. I'm not suggesting they need to take a position for or against Councilman Nash's resolution. That's not what I'm saying. I just would like to understand their thinking around, the resolution. So, okay. With that, we have a motion to defer 2 meetings. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Bills on second reading, again on consent. BL 2020-163, Sledge, Murphy, and Henderson abandons existing public sanitary sewer main and easements and to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located 1131 4th Avenue South. BL 2020-164, Taylor, Murphy, and others abandons existing public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements and to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 2300 Patterson Street. BL 2020-165, Taylor, Murphy, and others abandons existing water main and easements and to accept new water main and easements for properties located at 3186 and 3188 Parthenon Avenue. BL 2020-166, O'Connell, Murphy, and Henderson abandons existing public utility and drainage easements for property located at 1018 Elm Hill Pike. BL 2020-167, Taylor, Murphy, and others abandons existing public water and sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements, and to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, potential water main relocations, and easements for 10 properties located on Patterson Street, State Street, and McMillan Street. And lastly, on consent, BL 2020-168, Evans, Murphy, and Henderson authorizes the Metro government to accept new public water main for property located at 7704 Rookwood Court. Having heard the bills 168, 167, 166, 165, 164, and 163 on consent, are there any bills that need to be removed from consent? No. I heard a motion